What if the moment you stop explaining yourself is the exact moment your life begins to change forever? What if every time you said, "Let me explain why I did this," you were actually handing over your power to someone who never deserved it in the first place? What if your silence was not weakness, but the most sophisticated, the most intelligent, the most unbreakable form of strength you have ever possessed? We have been taught since childhood that we owe the world an explanation. We owe our parents a reason. We owe our colleagues a justification. We owe strangers on the internet our defense. But what if that entire belief was the single greatest lie ever told to you? What if the smartest people walking this earth right now are not smarter because of what they say, but because of what they choose not to say? Today, I want to take you on a journey into the psychology of confidence, courage, and the radical, life-changing power of simply letting your choices stand without defense. Because once you understand this, once this truth lands in your chest, you will never shrink yourself to make others comfortable again. Stay with me. This changes everything. What if the most powerful sentence you could ever speak is no sentence at all? Think about that for a moment. We live in a world that is absolutely obsessed with justification. We explain our career choices at dinner tables. We defend our boundaries in text messages. We overshare our reasons on social media, desperately hoping that if we just find the right words, people will finally understand us, finally accept us, finally approve of us. But here is what nobody tells you, and this truth is going to shake something loose inside of you today. The moment you feel the urge to explain yourself is the moment you must ask, am I speaking from courage or am I speaking from fear? Because there is a profound difference between the two. When we explain ourselves out of genuine connection, when we share our truth with someone who has earned the right to hear it, that is beautiful, that is human. That is what makes relationships real and meaningful and worth fighting for. But when we explain ourselves because we are terrified of being misunderstood, when we justify our decisions because we cannot bear the discomfort of someone's disapproval, that is not communication. That is people-pleasing dressed up in the costume of honesty, and it is slowly, quietly, invisibly stealing your power. Here is the uncomfortable truth that every truly smart, truly grounded, truly courageous person has had to face at some point in their life. You cannot control how people see you. You never could, you never will. And every single explanation you have ever given to someone who was determined to misunderstand you did absolutely nothing except exhaust you. Think about the last time you over-explained yourself. Maybe it was at work defending a decision to someone who had already made up their mind. Maybe it was in a relationship justifying a boundary to someone who kept pushing past it anyway. Maybe it was on social media typing out a long, careful, emotionally draining response to someone who was never going to change their opinion no matter what you said. How did that feel afterward? Did it bring you peace? Did it change anything? Or did it leave you feeling smaller, more exposed, more drained than before? That feeling is data. That feeling is your gut telling you something your brain already knows. Explanation without trust is just emotional bleeding. Now, I want to be very clear about something because this is where people misunderstand this message entirely. Not explaining yourself does not mean you are cold. It does not mean you are arrogant. It does not mean you walk through the world with a closed heart and a lifted chin, dismissing everyone around you. It means something far more radical than that. It means you have done the hard, painful, absolutely terrifying work of building an identity that does not depend on external validation to survive. And let me tell you, that work is not easy. In fact, it might be the hardest thing you ever do. Because we are wired for belonging. We are biologically, neurologically, deeply wired to want to be accepted by our tribe. Disapproval does not just hurt our feelings, it activates the same part of the brain as physical pain. So when someone misunderstands us, when someone judges us, when someone walks away with the wrong impression, every instinct inside us screams to fix it, to explain, to clarify, to chase their understanding down the street if we have to. But here is what separates people who are merely intelligent from people who are truly wise. Wise people have learned to sit in that discomfort without running from it. They have learned that being misunderstood is not an emergency. It is not a catastrophe. It is simply the price of having a life that is genuinely yours. Because here's what happens when you stop explaining. Something extraordinary begins to shift. People start to sense something different about you. They cannot quite name it. They do not fully understand it, but they feel it. There is a groundedness to you, a stillness, a quiet confidence that does not need to announce itself because it does not need anything from the room. That is what real power looks like. Not loud, not defensive, not frantically trying to manage everyone's perception, just rooted, clear, unshakable. And the beautiful irony, the less you explain, the more people actually trust you. Because trust is not built through over-justification. Trust is built through consistency, through action, through showing up with integrity time and time and time again, and letting that record speak for itself. Smart people understand this at a bone-deep level. They know that their energy is finite and sacred. They know that every time they pour that energy into explaining themselves to someone who is not truly listening, they are pulling it away from the work that actually matters, the creating, the building, the living. There is also something else happening when we over-explain, something that most people never examine closely enough. When you feel compelled to justify your decisions constantly, you are sending yourself a message. You are telling your own subconscious, I am not sure this choice was right. I need someone else to confirm it. And that self-doubt is corrosive. It eats away at your confidence from the inside out, slowly and silently, until you cannot make a single decision without needing the approval of 5 other people first. Smart people have broken that cycle. Not because they are never uncertain, they are. Not because they never doubt themselves, they do. But because they have learned to bring their questions and their fears to the right places, to trusted people, to their own quiet reflection, to the practices that restore and clarify, not to the crowd that confuses and depletes. And this brings us to perhaps the most important distinction of all. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Vulnerability is not something you owe to every person who asks for it. Explanation is not something you owe to every voice that questions you. The people who have earned the right to hear your truth, they know who they are. You know who they are. They are the ones who hold what you share with care, the ones who sit with you in your uncertainty without using it against you, the ones who, even when they disagree, do so with love and respect and genuine curiosity. Those people get your whole heart. Those people get your full, unfiltered, beautifully imperfect truth. But the critics, the people who have already decided who you are, the ones who need you to be wrong so they can feel right, you do not owe them an explanation. You do not owe them a defense. You do not owe them anything except the dignity you extend to every human being and then the wisdom to walk away. Because here is the final, most liberating truth I want to leave with you today. Your worth is not determined by whether people understand you. It is not determined by whether they agree with you, approve of you, or applaud the choices you have made. Your worth is something that existed before this conversation, before this room, before any of the opinions that have ever been held about you. It is not up for debate. It is not subject to a vote. It simply is. And the moment you truly, deeply, bone-marringly believe that, you will stop explaining, not because you have given up on connection, but because you have finally connected with yourself. That is the quiet revolution that smart people are living every single day. Not louder arguments, not better explanations, just a settled, sovereign, unnegotiable belief that they are enough exactly as they are, with or without anyone's understanding. And you, yes, you, are absolutely capable of living that way too. So let us bring this full circle. We started with a question. What if the moment you stop explaining yourself is the exact moment your life begins to change? And everything we have explored together today has been pointing toward one answer, one truth, one invitation. Stop shrinking yourself to fit inside someone else's understanding. Smart people do not explain themselves not because they are better than others, but because they have done the inner work, they have faced the fear of disapproval, and chosen themselves anyway. They have learned that silence can be strength, that boundaries can be love, and that the most important voice in their life is the one that speaks to them from within. You have that voice. You have always had that voice. The only question is whether you are finally ready to listen to it more than you listen to the noise outside. Your choices do not require a courtroom. Your life does not require a defense. You simply, beautifully, powerfully do not owe the world an explanation. Go live accordingly.